Welcome back to Prof E Plays. I'm Prof E, and we are going to be picking up here with Dreadfarer, right? The solo journaling sketching game, um, where I will provide yet one more episode of evidence that I am not an artist. All right. All right. So, anyway, for this game, I just found out that they have released a new update to the PDF. It is now in version 1.7. I haven't read the whole thing in its entirety because I like to be surprised when I roll stuff. But what I have read, they have fixed some of the issues that I may have pointed out with previous reviews. So, like the simple things like typos in the table of contents, as well as some inconsistency with how the game loop is described. I think they have all that worked out now. So at this point, just a reminder of what we have. So we have these, in effect, uh, three different resources that we're managing as we try to fill our sketchbook, right? So that is ultimately the goal of the game is to fill your sketchbook uh, through going to going on these trips into Lemuria, looking for relics, and then deciding what to do with those relics. Right. So you have three different resources. You have money, which we did almost run out of the one time. Where was that? Yeah, I think we had a negative number here for a minute. But then I sold some stuff. So as long as the end of the expedition you have positive money, you're okay. Right, so we have money, we have hit points, which I have never gotten hurt at all in this game through some miracle. Right? And then we also have corruption, which if that gets up to, I believe it's 50. I think 50 is where it would trigger me just becoming inhuman. Right, so you see, right now things are pretty well managed. I have significantly more money than I started with. I have my maximum HP, and I also have a corruption level that is pretty low, pretty manageable. This is going to mean that I'm not particularly worried at this point, but as always happens with solo games, anything can happen. Right? So remember that the loop that we go through is that first we have to make sure that we have all the equipment that we need. As far as I know, I have all the equipment that I want at the moment. Then we have to choose our location that we're going to. What that is, which kind of broad location we're going to, and then we roll a specific location within that. Then we also roll to find out what remnant we are seeking and will ultimately find. That is one thing in this game. There is never a question of whether you will find the remnant or not. You just have to decide what to do with it. That's the choice then. Right. So yeah, and that's it. And if we have any encounters along the way to get there, we will have to deal with those. If we don't have encounters along the way there, we will have encounters when we get there. Right, so let's go ahead and work our way through. So I have been um, kind of just hopping around from one area to another. There are four areas that you can get to without any kind of special equipment being necessary. Right, so I've just been traveling there and traveling by the safest mode of travel available to me based on the money that I have available. Right now, I have $440, which is definitely enough to get me where I want to go by plane, which is good enough as far as I'm concerned. Right, so let me double check to see what my traveling gear. There we go. So it's somewhere around here. All right, so traveling by plane is just a $60 charge. So I'm going to charge that $60 right now. So I'm down to $380 remaining. When you travel by plane, the big benefit of it is that it's a bumpy ride, but it beats the dangers of the ocean, meaning you don't have to worry about any ocean encounters. Right, so don't have to worry about that. We are just taking the plane to wherever we decide to go, which I didn't actually decide that yet. Right. So if I remember right, at this point, I'm kind of looping back through. I kind of like the idea of instead of staying in one place for a long time, I'm kind of looping around the locations. Right. So last time, I believe that I went to the island of Sra. So that would make Motag the next location that I'm going to. So let's go ahead and check for our specific location within the heights of Motag. So Motag is the area that is kind of mountainous. So I'm going to go ahead and roll here. Rolled a 16. Number 16 in my Motag list is the picturesque Witness Cliffs, is where we're going. All right, so let's see. So I'm just going to write here. So the first thing I'm going to write is Motag Witness Cliffs. All we know about them is picturesque Witness Cliffs called Ogamar by the locals, have become an emblem for the land of Motag. These cliffs have the appearance of gigantic stone eyes that appear to gaze back at the viewer, no matter where they stand. The local British mandate has turned this location into a tourist attraction and features them in posters to attract new bodies to work for their failing colony. So, this is a British colony, apparently. While they claim them to be carvings made by the ancient Mutagis, and the gaze that follows you no more than an optical illusion, the local inhabitants insist the stone eyes are of natural origin. They say that in the dead of moonless nights, when the eyes are blind, one may approach them and enter into their open pupils. Well, that's kind of cool. Um, anyway, so this is a monument. So I'm just going to make a note here. Monument, that will be relevant when we uh, do an encounter later. So now the question is why? Right? So why am I bothering to go to the Witness Cliffs? Which that's actually a really cool name too. Okay, so the why, of course, is that I'm seeking some kind of treasure. What is that treasure or remnant? That's number 17 in Motag. The 17th treasure in Motag is the Smith Sword. So seeking Smith Sword. The smith's sword is a large tool shaped like a hammer, with a sharp, curved sword sprouting from its back. It is used by the battlesmiths of Motag to equally work in the forges and to protect their valuable weapons from those who dare steal from them. I have a hard time imagining that, to be honest. So, shaped like a hammer with a sharp, curved sword sprouting from its back. Well, I will do my best, which, I mean, as you know, is not particularly good. So then the last thing that I need to roll, I guess last thing I need to roll first, sure, why not? Oh, is an encounter, right? So the encounters here, it is based on the specific subtype of area that I find myself in, right? So I am in Motags. I need to first make sure that I'm looking at the right area in terms of it being Motag. So I'll flip through these pages in a minute. Here are the heights of Motag, and in Motag it is a monument. Okay. So I will be rolling a d4 to figure out which monument encounter I'm dealing with. So it's number 3. Okay, so it's number 3. In a small clearing of snow, you come to several standing stones. Black and sleek, they tower over you in a circle. You feel something is wrong as you step toward the circle, as though every step pushes you deeper and deeper underwater. So my choice is either to walk into the circle or to walk around the circle. So if I walk into the circle, um, sensibly something might happen. If I walk around it, then I mean I'm going to effectively avoid whatever's going to happen. Well, you know what? I have all the resources that I need to take a risk, so let's go ahead and do it. We're going to walk into the circle. So, it says you take steady step after steady step into the circle, the pressure building up as you do until the air around you shakes at a microscopic level. The stones vibrate, letting out a high pitched whine that fills your ears. You soon find yourself coughing blood onto the snow below you. Snow, oh, okay. Painting it crimson. Turn back and leave, or lose 1 hit point. You know, I'm going to keep going because I have the hit points to spare. I haven't lost my hit points yet, so why not? You take another step, and your eyes begin to bleed, your vision clouding as the noise fills your mind. Turn back and leave, or lose 2 hit points. I still have hit points. I'm going to keep going. You drag your foot along the snow, attempting to take another step, but collapse. You feel the weight of an entire ocean on your back as you fall into the snow. Turn back and leave, or lose 3 hit points. Yeah, let's do it. So there's a total, I believe, of 6 hit points. Okay, no, that's fine. You lie there, taking the pain for what feels like hours. You suddenly find renewed strength and throw yourself forward, landing in the center of the circle. Suddenly, the pressure lifts and a light fills your body. For a moment, you feel like you can see everything across Lemuria and beyond, an insight into the cracks between the world. Heal 10 hit points. So I actually ended up totally healing everything I lost. You black out, waking several hours later. Strangely, the stones have bent toward you, as though great fingers cupping you. All right. So, like, net result here, right, is not a whole lot. Right? So, but this does give me three things then that I can draw. So one would be the set of standing stones, right? The circle of standing stones that I almost drowned in or was crushed in. We have the witness cliffs, and then also the smith sword. So I need to have some story as to like how I found the smith sword. So first thing I want to do, let's go ahead. I like this idea of the standing stones, so I think I'm going to just kind of draw this over here. I'm imagining naturally something Stonehenge-ish, but I'm not imagining them being built kind of in the arches, but rather just like the standing stones, right? All right, so imagining here, is there going to be roughly in this kind of circular arrangement, and they're going to be bent toward the center because, after all, something like this. Now let's make them a little more ragged, a little more jagged, or whatever. Provide a little bit more depth to them. Go ahead and provide a little bit of shadow, maybe. Oh, these shadows are not at all consistent. Something about Lemuria, the lighting is not always from the same direction. Yes, that's what's going on here. Right, and then the witness cliffs. I like the witness cliffs. I mean, the description is obvious enough, right? That it's something like a cliff. And that's in the name. So here's the cliff, right? And it looks like two giant eyes. So imagine something. Those eyes are turning out shockingly well for what I would expect. Okay. Yeah. Yes, I'm imagining the cliff has eyebrows. So there. You can deal with it. Yeah. All right. And then finally, the hammer, which looks like it has a sword sprouting out of its back. Its back. I think my problem is that, like, I honestly don't know what the back of a hammer is, right? Because, like, I think of like hammers having like a handle right, and a head, in effect. I don't know where the back would be, right? So I guess I'm imagining maybe like where like the prying part of what I think of as kind of a standard carpenter's hammer. Um, Maybe that would be where the sword is coming out. So it has that rather than. It does not feel like it'd be a very useful weapon though, designed that way. Well, but it certainly would not be attached to like the handle. What is like the handle of the hammer also the grip of the sword? That feels weird. Yeah, and like certainly like just like poking out that wouldn't make any sense. That it just as a tool, right? So I'm imagining here. Yeah, I think I'm going to do it as it's the replacement for. I just realized that I was hiding my very poor drawing from you. Right. So I think that yeah, I think that's what I'm imagining is that it's the replacement for um, the the prying bar in effect on what I think is kind of a standard hammer. All right, so I'm imagining here it's not it's also not going to be like my standard hammer. It'll be more like a sledgehammer or something like that, but shorter handled, right? So you've got kind of the standard handle here. Yep, nope, needs to narrow more. All right, something like this. Right, so on the one hand, right, so yeah, it's gonna stick out of here. And then we have the hammer part here. And then the other side, I mean, I suppose you do it like a short. So I'm just trying to imagine like you're hammering, right? So you use the hammer, and how do you keep from stabbing yourself in the eye with it, right? This does not feel like the most practical tool, but that's okay. Um, I'm going to do it more like a dagger, perhaps. Something like this. Here's the Smith sword. Now, where do we think we found it? So my thought is, I mean, I want to make this connected with the cliff somehow. Now, there's this legend about on a moonless night being able to climb into the pupils. I think that's a cool idea. So I think that maybe that's what we're going to say happened, right? So we did have to um, climb the cliff some, but I'm just going to suppose that that's something that I'm capable of doing, right? So this Smith sword was actually located inside one of these pupils, right? So I heard rumors of the Smith sword existing. I went, I found it, I brought it back. Now we need to decide what we're going to do with it. So that is the final stage of an expedition. Is when you return, you need to figure out what. Okay, now what is in effect what's going on here. Right, so I need to find the page that describes the end of the expedition so that I can remind myself of like what my options are. Here we go. Return. Right. So remember, I've a total of four options. Right? I can either return the thing to its rightful culture or resting place if that exists. Right. I have two. I could donate it to the museum, which gives me a little bit of money, but a little bit of corruption. Whereas returning it helps to eliminate corruption. I could auction off, which gives me lots of money, but gain significant corruption. Or I could just keep the thing, which gets me significant corruption. So I'm thinking at this point, is like in the trade-off between money and corruption, I don't think that this particular um, tool, I mean, I've already been saying it doesn't seem like it makes a whole lot of sense to me, right? So I'm not interested in keeping this one. So I think that I'm going to hmm, donate. Well, I think that here it was very clear in the story, right, that the rightful people do still exist, which means then I could return this to them, right? In which case I could eliminate some corruption. I think that makes sense. I have plenty of money, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So let's see how much corruption I eliminate. I eliminate 3 points of corruption. So going back then to my stats page, I'm back down to 1 corruption, and that is that. And so I think that that was a fun little expedition. I mean, I almost got crushed over halfway to death, but I managed to get myself healed in the process. It's also something that's important to remember in the future, right? So the way that this game can end, I'll just give some reminders of this, right? So there are a number of ways that you can end the game, right? One would be is if you go bankrupt, and that is if you have zero money or less, right? But then you can sell a remnant, right? So it's at the end of the expedition, you can sell remnants, and that can resolve the bankruptcy problem. Now, if you happen to roll so poorly that you can't get enough money to get back to zero, then you're just destitute. You can't really do anything. You could become cursed, which is if you oh that's if you get 10 curses, which means if you ever get up to a total of 50 uh, a total of 50 corruption at one time, or you can die. So if your health ever hits zero, you're dead. So so that's where it's important to remember here that that particular option of going into those stone circles, one thing that I learned is that as long as you have at least 6 hit points when you enter, you're going to leave right, with effectively, since I have a maximum 10 hit points, I'll leave with 10 hit points. So it's kind of a way of healing myself, right? So that is an option, but remember, it could kill you in the process, right? So you need to make sure you're not too hurt when you go into it, or you're going to end up dead. Right? And then the final way, of course, to end is that you have filled your entire book, uh, which I mean, I still have a ways to go. Like I don't know how many pages, honestly. This is a literally I bought this from the dollar store. I don't know how many pages is in the sketchbook. Probably something like I thought it'd be 30, but I like counting. I think there's a lot more than 30. I mean, like that was script number 6, and I don't think that I'm a fifth of the way through. It might be like a 50-page sketchbook, right? So at the very least, we have a ways to go, assuming that I don't die or go bankrupt or go completely insane from curses in the process. And if that does happen, by the way, you just start a new character. That's the process. The kind of theory being that you have a new character, then finds this sketchbook and then continues it. Right. So we're just seeing how far my original character is going to get, and if they die, well, we start over. That's fine. So I think that's it for now. So that means this is Prof E signing off.